It's morphin' time!
Cause today on Top 10 Nerd, we're jumping into the world Power Rangers.
So let's shift into Turbo with the top 10 most powerful Rangers.
I'm James.
I'm Adam, and let us know what your favorite season of Power Rangers was in the comments. We'll just jump right in.
The Green Ranger. Not the Ranger we're all familiar with from the live action series though. This is a new version of the Green Ranger. In the comic, instead of Tommy becoming the White Ranger, thereby replacing Green, Tommy dies and is resurrected becoming the White Ranger after the events of the Shattered Grid. But mysteriously, a Green Ranger soon appears, taking out the panda monster the team had combined forces to take on single-handedly. As it turns out, Billy had been assisting Grace Sterling, the head of a tech company called Promethea, to power up the Dragon Power Coin in order to create a new Green Ranger. This new amped up Green Ranger returns during the Rangers' battle with a superpowered Chaos Putty before revealing himself to be a fellow student at Angel Grove, Matt Cook. Matt was already a strong kid before becoming the Green Ranger, having been captured by Rita Repulsa and withstanding months of experiments before finally escaping, and also being quite heroic, saving a kid from, being crushed by fallen rubble before being teleported to Promethea for Grace to offer him this brand new position as a ranger. He's got an amped up version of the Dragon Dagger, an amped up suit. It's also just so cool seeing the White Ranger and Green Ranger fighting alongside each other with their respective Zords.
Coming in at number 9 is Doggie Cruger. I'm leading with my favorite here. Anubis Doggie Cruger is one of the most memorable characters in the Power Rangers world, mostly because he is a literal blue dog-like alien, but also because he's freaking cool. He's technically part of an alien race called the Syrian, but while not being human, he still commands massive respect from the human Rangers as the chief of the Power Rangers SPD, Space Patrol Delta, serving as their commander on Earth. He has extremely outstanding leadership skills and a dedication to seeing the SPD Rangers succeed and remain safe at any cost. Instead of possessing a whole whack of gadgets and weapons, the Shadow Ranger's Galaxy single sword style is just so far and above anything that his opponents can come up with that it makes him one of the strongest Rangers in the Power Rangers universe, at least in terms of combat. Using this style, he has defeated 100 aneroids on his own. It has even given him the moniker of Hell's Guard Dog. How awesome is that?
The White Ranger, Tommy Oliver. It was only a matter of time before Tommy was mentioned, right? Tommy is probably the most famous Ranger ever. He was the Green Ranger and White Ranger, plus several others in the live action series. An absolute legend of the franchise. But back to the comic. When Tommy is seemingly taken out by Lord Drakkon after being stabbed through the back with Saba, the Rangers mourn his death, but when Drakkon sent the Ranger Slayer back in time to eliminate the Rangers, she breaks free of his influence and ends up changing the past version of Tommy's fate for the better, piercing him with a green crystal-infused arrow that gives him the vision of this, dark future, and leading to his soul becoming this entity that haunts Drakkon, eventually giving Tommy enough power to resurrect himself. After the Shattered Grid arc, Tommy reappears now as the White Ranger and soon takes over the team upon Jason, Zach, and Trini's departure. The White Ranger is just awesome. He's got the baddest Zord, the coolest sword, and Saba that can talk, and it's Tommy Oliver. He kicks butt. What else can I say?
Number 7, Ranger Slayer. Kimberly Hart was the original Mighty Morphin Pink Ranger, and the Ranger that all the other guys in school had a crush on. But she is straight up a total badass. But for this point on the list, I want to talk about the Kimberly Hart of a different reality. In said alternate reality, the world of the Coinless, this version of Kimberly became a deadly ranger named the Ranger Slayer under the mind control of the incredibly powerful Drakkon. As the Ranger Slayer, Kimberly piloted the Grave Zord and was also the leader of the Promethea Rangers team, which included another powerful ranger, Magna Defender. She also wielded the bow/sword of darkness. The Ranger Slayer initially worked for Lord Drakkon before breaking free of his mind control, and after his fall, the Ranger Slayer takes the place of Lord Drakkon in the new timeline.
Alright, the Death Ranger. This is one of the coolest Rangers I've ever seen. I always wanted there to be stuff like this in Power Rangers, like when I was a kid. So the Death Ranger was sealed away by the original Omega Rangers, but then Andros, the in-space Red Ranger, freed it, cutting a deal with the Death Ranger to avenge those responsible for the destruction of his planet in exchange for its freedom. Big mistake. mistake. Death Ranger ended up possessing the Omega Rangers and Zane, the Psycho Silver Ranger, turning them into evil soldiers he commanded at will. What makes Death Ranger so powerful is its ability to switch host bodies. You can destroy the body, but his essence still remains. He'll just move on to find another host to take on. When Andros managed to free Jason from Death Ranger's possession, the battle wasn't over, as Death Ranger just entered into its Zord instead. A sentient Zord. Pretty cool. More like a Transformer, I guess, at that point. It took our heroes combining their Zords to form the Dragon Thunder Zord in order to take it out. For now, that is.
Number 5. Merrick Baltion. There is a bit of a trend of the 6th Ranger being the most powerful of whoever their respective Ranger team is. These 6th Rangers have been able to take down foes by themselves that even a full team of 5 Rangers couldn't take on. One of my favorite 6th Rangers would have to be the 6th Wild Force Ranger, Merrick Baltion. Merrick was originally a noble warrior from the mythical nation of Animarium before he was corrupted by the wolf mask that he used to save his nation. He then became the monster known as Zen Aku. As Zen Aku, he was one of the most imposing enemies that the Wild Force Rangers ever faced, but luckily for all of us, he eventually purged the evil from within himself and became the Lunar Wolf Ranger for the team. Merrick got access to the Predazord, a combo Zord that had the Wolf, Hammerhead Shark, and Alligator Zords. Also, I have to tell you about his main weapon, the Lunar Q, as in Pool Q. It could be a saber, a sniper, or a pool cue, and it had some interesting but devastating attacks to say the least. It's also worth noting that being the Lunar Wolf, he stayed as a bit of a loner, being all brooding and cool, never fully integrating with the team of Rangers. You could even say that he was a lone wolf. Ooh, wordplay, nice.
The Omega Rangers are next on the list. The original Omega Rangers were powerful on their own, some of the earliest Rangers in existence, fighting in space against evil threats. The Omega Rangers lay dormant for many years, but became active again when 3 of the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Jason, Zack, and Trini, took the mantles after leaving the original team, along with Kia being the blue Omega Ranger, who would soon turn on them. It's cool that they took that original departure of those cast members and MMPR and made it part of the story in like a really cool way. With the whole peace conference thing just being a cover-up for a much cooler mission. Being recruited by the blue Emissary to become the Omega Rangers and protect the universe from evil. More specifically, protecting the grid from villains looking to gain power from it. These Rangers would prove to be some of the universe's most powerful heroes, but when the Death Ranger possessed them, it took the combined might of Andros, the MMPR team, Archon, Kevor, and Journey to take them on.
Number 3. Jason Lee Scott. Jason Lee Scott is also one of the most powerful Rangers throughout all of Power Rangers media. He led the original team of Mighty Morphin Rangers against Rita Repulsa and many other foes. He took down a small army of monsters by himself, and he would even return later to become the Gold Zeo Ranger. In the comics though, he leads an army of Rangers against Lord Drakkon's forces in a battle to save the entire Power Rangers multiverse. Before even becoming a Ranger, Jason was pretty adept with martial arts, and he had the leadership traits that made him the perfect choice to become the Red Ranger. He was even able to defeat Tommy, one of the strongest Rangers in combat, when he was brainwashed by Rita Repulsa. He is often considered by fans to be the best Red Ranger and the best Power Ranger ever. And in a contest run by ABC Family in 2004, Jason was voted the best Power Ranger of all time. But we know for a fact there's at least someone stronger than him.
The Emissaries. The Emissaries are these like ancient warriors that represent the Morphin Masters, an ancient civilization dedicated to studying the Morphin grid. They each represent a different Ranger color, red, yellow, and blue, and what's cool about them is that they don't really have one solid form. They're constantly phasing in between different Ranger forms, making it like cool spotting different Rangers from over the years, like, oh, that's Ninja Storm red, or like, cool, that's Time Force blue, you know? They used to be, you know, Rangers themselves, the Squadron Rangers, but during their battle with Dark Spectre, they essentially became conduits of the grid, just letting its power consume them, and they became basically one with it, now becoming these like kind of celestial beings. The Emissaries are supremely powerful guardians of the grid that exist outside of the realm of time and space, observing events across time and watching over the various Ranger teams that fight to protect their worlds.
Number 1. Drakkon. Who is the most powerful of the Mighty Morphin Rangers? It is without a doubt the Green Ranger Tommy, who, as we said before, becomes the White Ranger. But who is the most powerful Ranger ever? Tommy, but not the regular Tommy. Instead, it's an evil, super villainous, tyrannical, alternate universe Tommy who becomes the insanely powerful Lord Drakkon. Instead of breaking his connection to Rita Repulsa, this universe's Tommy stuck with her. This guy was able to breach the Morphin Grid itself, which he did by killing at least one Ranger on every team throughout the multiverse and stealing a Morpher from each of them. Eventually, he became a god and was able to destroy the whole multiverse. Then, he used his power to create a new Earth where he was basically like Superman. Also, he looks super cool. Combining both the Green Ranger and the White Ranger looks with gold accents, it's Gabella. A hell of a way to take the greatest Ranger and make him the most despicable.
Alright, that made me want to practice all my ninja poses.
You know what? I'm with you.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's just do this for a while.
Yeah.
With all that said though, I'll catch you, yes you specifically, in the next video.
Yeah, and I'll be there.